10 years ago, in 2016, 2016 was 10 years ago? Holy shit. I purchased my first turntable, the Project 1.2, a nice entry-level belt-driven turntable with a decent upgradability path with its lack of internal preamp and user-replaceable cartridge. It was the perfect gateway drug for vinyl. And upgrade I did, swapping out the cheap Audio-Technica cartridge it came with a Nagoka MP11 and picking up this extremely cheap tube power preamp from a car boot for 50p. Since day one of owning the Project turntable, it had definitely seen better days, but it was functional, and it got me through the first 10 years of my vinyl listening journey. It was ever faithful at my side as my collection grew from just a handful of vinyls to a lot of vinyls. I might say some things in this video which will scare audiophiles. To protect myself and scare them away, I refuse to refer to this thing as a record, and these things I will refer to as vinyls. Unfortunately, over the past few years, my trusty turntable had started developing a few little niggles, let's call them. It started with it struggling to hit 45 RPM reliably, and then that kind of went into it not being able to hit 33 1/3 RPM reliably anymore. There was an album I bought, and the first time I ever listened to it was on vinyl. And I was kind of amazed at first. I was like, okay, this is something a little bit different from what I'm used to from this band. You know, it's gritty, it's slow, grungy, like it's so dark. And after like 3 or 4 songs, I realized my turntable could no longer hit 33 1/3 RPM reliably anymore. As well as that, I noticed the platter was like rubbing against the chassis of the turntable. I have no idea how that started happening. It's not like I'm putting excess weight on it or anything, or like, how do you warp a platter? Like, what happened there? And finally, the counterweight wouldn't stay in a set position for more than like a few days. There was a handful of times where I would hear like a grinding sound coming from my turntable when I'm playing a record, only to see that the tracking force had increased so much that like the actual cartridge was like rubbing against the record. Like, it was terrifying. Like, when I first noticed that, I was like, okay, no more. I'm not using this turntable anymore. That's it. It's time to upgrade. It's actually genuinely difficult for me to refer to this thing as a vinyl, but I've set this joke up now and I'm going to try be consistent with it. Now, I'm sure if I really wanted to, I probably could have fixed these issues. The thing is, I bought this turntable about 10 years ago for, I think, somewhere between 100 and 150 pounds. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was that kind of ballpark. So it's like, do I really want to invest more money into it when I kind of, the itch to upgrade is there already? Thus begun a search for a suitable upgrade, which went on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Let's pretend you haven't read the title of this video, and let's also pretend that I'm keeping you in suspense right now and you have no idea, like, you know, what I ended up doing. It was difficult, as not only did I have a pretty limited budget, but I also had a very specific list of requirements. I'm not a rich man, and my hope was to spend no more than £200 on a new turntable, which might sound slightly ambitious, but I actually ended up kind of achieving that. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. Let me take you back to my very specific list of requirements. On my Project turntable, to be able to adjust the speed from 33 RPM to 45 RPM, you have to actually kind of like dig under the platter and move the belt on the motor from like one spindle to another. I've been doing that for 10 years and I'm sick and tired of it. So being able to adjust the speed with either a flick of a switch or a click of a button is an absolute fucking must. Sometimes I'd put a record on, sit down, read a book and chill out a little bit. And then I'd have to get up 20 minutes later because the stylus is just running along the groove. So the idea of like an automatic mechanism, super appealing to me, where, you know, it just gets to the end of the record, lifts up, goes to the end. So even if I can't be bothered to get up and, like, you know, flip the record over, I'm not having to listen to like over and over and over again. I also really like the idea of not having to like fiddle around with making sure I've got the stylus on the correct part of the record, of the vinyl. Just being able to click start, have it lift up, go to the vinyl, drop down. Super appealing. Sounds awesome. Sounds really, really cool. But the issue with that is I've now kind of ruled out every turntable produced this century. I wanted something that was aesthetically pleasing, you know, something where you kind of come into the room and you're like, whoa, what's that? And then even more so when you kind of show the functionality of it, like something that's going to kind of like wow people. After doing a lot of research into turntables, and what I ended up doing actually was I would go onto eBay and just search turntables and just sort it by newly listed, and I would look every single day to see what people were uploading just in case I might find a good deal. I did not, but what I did discover was a requirement which I didn't expect to have, which was I wanted a turntable of Japanese origin. Japanese turntables seem to consistently hit my list of requirements apart from the price aspect. Like, Jesus Christ, some of these turntables can get really, really expensive. So after spending literally weeks and weeks and looking at Japanese turntables on eBay, a friend of mine stepped in and he said, if you want a Japanese turntable, why are you looking on eBay UK? He then pointed me towards a company called Buyee. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. Buyee. A company which assists in purchasing and importing items from Japan. This is absolutely not a sponsorship or endorsement of Buyee. In fact, here's a few reasons why you might actually not want to use Buyee. 1. A lot of items are listed as junk or sometimes just the letter J. Literally, I would find so many turntables and think, oh, this looks really good, only to find junk in the description. Only buy a junk turntable if you're looking for a fixer-upper. 2, seller feedback is everything. And you're probably thinking, duh, I know that. Of course I know that. I always check, seller feedback, and I'm sure you do. But the thing is, let's say you decide to buy a turntable through Buyee, and then it arrives, and there's something functionally wrong with it, you as a buyer have zero recourse. Buyee will do nothing to help you. They won't refund you. They won't even give you any kind of support, which I experienced myself. Spoilers. If the seller described it as functional and then you buy it and the motor doesn't work, well, sucks to be you. Hopefully you can find a cheap replacement motor and free. Unless you want to spend a lot of money, be prepared for a very, very long wait. Like a very, very long wait. We're talking like 1 to 3 months kind of wait. Probably more 3 months rather than 1 month. The cheapest shipping option available to me was £30, and that was the 1 to 3 month one. The next one up from that was, I think, maybe like £130, and that was like 2 to 3 weeks. I'm just gonna wait the 1 to 3 months. So after looking at countless turntables on Buyee, I finally landed on one that I adored. Big reveal time because you haven't read the title. It's the Denon DP-47F. Whoa, why'd I say it like that? The mirrored wood finish, the slight slant to the dust cover, the big buttons coupled with the LED lights. Looking at it makes all the correct neurons in my brain ignite with joy. Trying to buy this turntable in the UK, like on eBay for example, would be way out of my budget. There's no way I could ever afford this thing. Getting back together. However, the story suddenly shifts quite significantly when you're buying from Japan. This goes from being the price of a crazy high-end turntable to being the price of an entry-level turntable. This is about what I spent on my Project 1.2 10 years ago. Okay, this all sounds amazing, but I have to make a decision here. Do I accept the risks and try import this from Japan using Buyee? Or do I go for, I guess, the only 2 alternatives I have? Either buying a super expensive turntable I can't afford, or buying a super cheap turntable which I know I'm not going to be 100% happy with and will probably end up upgrading again within the next 5 years. Ultimately, and I guess obviously, I decided to pull the trigger and import from Japan using Buyee. I really don't want my channel to become the "and here's the story about how I waited a really long time for something" channel, but here's the story of how I waited a really long time for something. For the next 3 months, I didn't play a single record. I had long since lost faith in my turntable's ability to play records safely. I tried resorting to this technology called, one second, let me just check my notes. Stramming. However, this technology was too modern for me to comprehend, and I ended up getting confused, and I spent a long weekend listening to a playlist of AI-generated music. I then dug this artifact out of some forgotten drawer. So not only does it have whatever this port here at the bottom is, but I also refuse to use any Apple product that does not have the gay Apple logo on it. After complaining at length about my situation to the workers at HMV, they gave me this thing. This is a CD, which stands for How Can I Play This Disc? The only viable method I could figure out was to play it on a Sony PlayStation 1 connected to a CRT. Needless to say, it was both a dark and silent time in my life. I had to partake in primitive activities, such as trying to decipher the symbols in this paper holdie holder, or worse yet, having to try create my own music. Hang on a second, that wasn't AI music earlier. This was only the beginning of my descent into insanity. Within weeks, I had... Okay, you know, I did this bit in the last video where, you know, I kind of went insane, you know, waiting for a package to arrive. So I'm going to spare you my attempts of trying to be funny, and I would just jump cut to the unboxing. Go. It's finally here. Almost 3 months I had to wait. I saved so much money. Whatever, who cares? As long as it works, as long as, you know, it's not damaged. I mean, the box looks fine, the box looks immaculate. Like, how long has it been at sea for? I don't know. I can't wait to get this open. Are you gonna help? Suspense. Ooh. We got some packing stuff. So I'm assuming this is the platter. So we got the platter there. This is where the sensors will be on the turntable. So there's like a little light thingy that shines into these to try to determine the size of the record. Oh, there she is. So get this open. Look at all these peanuts, all nicely packaged as well. Obviously, there's a few scuffs on it. I was aware of that in the listing. They did mention that I don't currently have a step-down transformer because this needs 100 volts. Here in Britain, I can't supply that voltage, so I'm waiting for a step-down transformer to arrive. But until then, I can press this power button. And I can envision using this turntable. We got our power button. We got our speed selection buttons. We've got our locate buttons for moving the tone on. We've got the button here to lift the tone on. We've got the button here to repeat the record. We've got the start button. We got the stop button. We've got the tone on. We got the cartridge. You know, I mean, that's seen better days. I might maybe use like a cheap record just out of curiosity, just to see what that sounds like. But my intention is to replace that with the cartridge, which is on my old turntable. Oh, let's close that. We have the inspector in. What's the verdict? I think we have a winner. Oh, I could just take this off if I wanted to. That's pretty fun. How do I get it back on? Why did I take it off? The next step was to try clean it up a little bit. If you look at the photos from the listing on Buyee, you can see pretty clearly just how dirty this thing was. Because I'm an idiot, I went straight for the nuclear option and tried to clean it with alcohol. Okay, so I have a little bit of rubbing alcohol here and some Q-tips. See there is a little bit of dirt coming off. It doesn't look hugely different, but it might just need some persistence. I think it does look better than it did before. The numbers have worn away a little bit, and I'm wondering whether I did that or whether it was already like that. And now we have all these other buttons that need doing. So yeah, it looks a lot better than it did. Definitely not perfect. I did, unfortunately, remove some of this text when I was cleaning it. Didn't remove it, it just started fading a bit, which is just me being dumb. I mean, obviously using rubbing alcohol with this sort of stuff, you do have to be careful, and you live and learn. I had decided to wait until I actually received the turntable before purchasing a step-down transformer. I wanted to make sure everything visually looked okay with it before I went and invested more money. The downside to this is not only did I have to wait a few extra days, though I guess what's a few extra days on like 3 months of waiting, but I maybe also potentially missed out on a few good deals on eBay and Vinted. It's here, the transformer. I had to go on Vinted, and I bought it secondhand, so I'm a little bit sus about it, so we're going to test it. I have that equipment over there. We'll get it in a secondo. Hey, this is not a high-end transformer, but I don't care. Maybe one day I'll buy like a good one. Today is not that day. It says it outputs 100 volts, but we're going to test that. We're going to make sure it does. So we got this little meter thing. We got this cheap-ass adapter I bought on Amazon. And we got the transformer, and we got plugs. No explosions. We connect this, and it has become transformed. Okay. That's telling me it's outputting 118 volts. So if I plug this in without an adapter, we are getting 243.4 volts. British voltage is meant to be 230. This is showing, you probably can't see it, but 243. I wonder if I use a different one of these, whether it will show me the same number. Okay, and this one, 243. I'm gonna like plug it directly into the wall over there. Come along. 243. Is this lying to me? Or is my house weird? There's a little like reset doodad in there. I'm gonna like press that doodad, see if it does something. Reset. I reset it too hard. Now it won't work anymore. 2 unboxings in one video, you're getting good value for money. So since I destroyed this by pressing the reset button, we've had to order in a replacement. Hey, let's go. Alright. Cat's down there, she likes these things. She just hit the tripod. Voltage. 243. So I want to try the transformer while it's under load. Let's unplug this. Let's plug in this. Let's get this. Plug in this. Let's plug in this. Let's plug in this. There we go. I just had to finesse it in a little bit. Okay. Voltage right now is 117. So when I plug my phone in, oh, it dropped from 117 to 116. I just had a really good idea. Let's plug in the old turntable into this, and I don't know if it'll work on 100 volts, but it's worth a shot. Okay, turn on. Well, evidently it doesn't work with 100 volts. So from what I've read online, I think it will be okay to use this in the short term. I guess long term, maybe I need to find a better step-down transformer. I can't help but feel like I'm eating my own words right now. Despite my reservations and despite my lack of faith in the transformer, my impatience got the better of me, and I decided to plug the turntable into the transformer that I didn't trust.
Okay, I'm so fucking nervous. Okay. There's light. Okay, let me quickly find a record. You know what this will do? We're gonna do the theme from Doctor Who. This isn't currently connected to my preamp. I have a whole setup which I need to go through and get that all wired in. I'm not doing that just now. I will do that. That's later. This is now. This is just seeing whether this works. No smoke. Smells good. Smells like 80s. Smells like Back to the Future. Smells like Terminator. We got our BBC. I'm shaking a little bit. Start. Start. The lifting mechanism doesn't seem to be lifting. I don't know if this is meant to be flashing. I don't know whether you could see that. Click stop. Yeah, it kind of just drags it off. Okay, so I just saw a video on YouTube about setting the tone arm up for this. What I need to do, with it powered off, and it is currently powered off, I need to adjust this to get it so it's kind of neutrally buoyant when it's kind of like in this position here. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. Okay. Okay, lift it up. Start. See, I'm not quite sure why it's not taking the tone arm to the record. Just put it there. Drop. Stop. So we can do that. But it doesn't stop the platter.
Needless to say, I was heartbroken. 3 months of waiting, so much patience. And for what? For nothing. It doesn't work. I spent hours researching, looking for the tiniest glimmer of hope. I scoured through the manual, the service manual, just hoping I might have missed something. I reached out to the Buyee support team. I pleaded with them to message the original seller. Maybe he knew something I didn't. Maybe there was something I needed to do in setting it up, which I wasn't doing. They responded reminding me that the item was not covered by their refund policy and that they would not be messaging the seller. Thanks, Buyee. 10 out of 10, highly recommended. I found this random Polish video on YouTube about the Denon DP-47F. The video had no captions and it also didn't have the auto dub feature. So to be able to try to figure out what he was saying and what he was doing, I had to start translating it with my phone.
Pozostaje jeszcze sprawdzenie, czy nasz nowy transformator nie wprowadza jakichś dodatkowych zakłóceń, czy nie ma jakiegoś brumu. No po prostu podłączmy go do wzmacniacza, włączmy play.
Well, let's just connect it to the amplifier and turn on play.
But fortunately, a better option soon emerged. Thanks to an incredible soul on the Audio Karma forums, I might have potentially identified the issue. He believes that it is potentially the photoresistors, I think they're called, which are these three things here. These are responsible for detecting the position of the arm. There's a light here, goes into these receivers to like identify where the tone arm is. Since my tone arm is just perpetually trying to go to the right, it doesn't seem to be detecting where it needs to stop and rest. I've just tried giving these a clean, just, Q-tip, rubbing alcohol. But if I do need to replace these, I think I would be capable of doing that. If I was a betting man,
I would say CDS3 is our problem photoresistor. Just, yeah.
Okay, moment of truth. I doubt I've made any difference. Okay, turn it on. Let's see if... So this should lift up, then drop, if I've done it correctly. Let's turn it on, lifts up. Don't think that dropped. Press start. Still identifies 33. The tone arm does not want to move. Let's do it manually. Place it down. Press stop. Okay, whoa. That's new behavior. That's new behavior. It's never done that before. Start. Well, that's the first time I've ever seen it do that. And it's not spinning, but it's something. Oh my god. Start. I can't believe what I just witnessed. I cannot believe what I just fucking witnessed. It's not quartz locked. It's flashing. It's running slow. See if I can get up to 45. Okay, quartz locked 45. Can we go to 30 now? Okay, I think... Yeah, that is quartz locked. It just looks like it's flashing on the camera. Just for good luck, I've reattached the feet now. I want to see if it still works, because it just feels too good to be true. Bro! Bro! No way, dude. No way. I had gotten ridiculously lucky. No matter how much I searched, I could not find a solution anywhere. It wasn't until I had decided to post on the Audio Karma forum that I was able to find a solution that worked. Now I know this is only a temporary solution, and I know in the coming weeks I'll need to replace the photoresistors and I'll need to get a better step-down transformer. Again, I know, eating my own words. Hopefully I've already scared away all of the audio files. But just in case I haven't, vinyls! Analog isn't inherently better than digital. Vinyl records are objectively further from the artist's original intentions and digital sources. Okay, now it's just us left. I think in the short term, that transformer will be okay. I don't think it's going to do any harm to the turntable at all. I've read online like people who have used transformers worse than that for longer periods of time without issue. That's not to say I'm not going to replace it. I will replace it. Once something better comes up, I'll buy it. But for now, I feel pretty confident that my turntable isn't going to explode from using it. But in the meantime, this should work. But of course, before any of that, I need to properly test it. Okay, this is the moment of truth. Got the preamp turned on. I happen to know this record is 45 RPM. Okay, set that to 45. Okay, it'll take a second because it's being streamed over my network. There it is. Now I want to see, because one thing that didn't work last time, again being streamed over the network, a little bit of a delay, was the repeat button. So we're going to get that turned on. Okay, there it goes. Ah, it works! So, the next thing to do was to install my Nagoka MP11 cartridge onto this turntable. This is where I'm actually super grateful for the removable head shell here, as it made installing it an absolute breeze. I just had to keep my fingers crossed that it still happily worked with the new cartridge installed. Though I guess if I really wanted to keep the audio files away, should I say with the new needle installed? Ugh. Okay, new cartridge installed. Here's hoping I've got it all set up and calibrated correctly. Power on, lift up. I'm wondering if maybe there's a little bit too much force on it. But it's fine, let's just see if it works for starters. Okay, click start, there it goes.
Nice. Sorry, my autofocus is not autofocusing. There we go. Yeah, this is still doing its thing. Apparently, I can adjust that. There is like a little pot somewhere I can like turn just to maybe give a bit more voltage to this or something, just to try get that to lock in. That's a job for future me.
The only thing left to do is to give you a demo of what my entire setup sounds like now. Briefly, the chain is as follows. A Denon DP-47F equipped with a Nagoka MP11 cartridge, routed into a Project Tubebox SE2, which is then connected to my home lab, which does a little bit of processing just to remove like some rumbles, some pops and clicks and crackles and all of that sort of stuff. That is then streamed over my network, which I then connect to with my PC and then play that stream through my Yamaha HS7 speakers. For this demo, I'm going to remove the processing part of the chain, so you're essentially going to just get the raw output of the turntable. So for this test, I needed something that wasn't going to hit any content ID matches. And I actually happen to have something which is perfect for that very purpose. The song on this vinyl is a song that I composed about 10 years ago. So I know I'm not going to copyright strike myself, and I think we should just go ahead and hear the demo. So after all of this, would I say it was worth it? I'll be honest with you, it's not like there's a night and day difference between my previous project turntable and my now current Denon DP-47F. I'm sure if I sat down with recordings of the two of them and did some intensive A/B testing, I would probably notice a few differences here and there, a few little nuanced differences, but that's not why I bought this turntable. What I wanted was something that worked, which I guess it kind of does. There's a few little issues, you know, the old quartz-locked and the photoresistors that need replacing, and I guess the step-down transformer, but there's not really much I could do about that apart from buy a new one. However, it's certainly a better experience than my old project turntable. I guess to say I wanted something that works is an oversimplification. I wanted an aesthetic. And the vanity in me is going to shine through a little bit now. But I wanted something I could show off a little bit. Something that demands your attention when you see it in a room. And something that will wow anyone when you show it to them in action. And I'd say, to that end, I've essentially gotten what I've asked for. I almost feel like I have the DeLorean of turntables, which I guess is fitting, given the 80s aesthetic of the turntable.